What has led you to where you are now? What really changed was life's not happening to me. I have control over my life because I felt for so many years that life was just happening to me, that I was a victim of circumstances. It was all out of my control. So having that realization that I'm not a victim, I do have control. It's up to me how I respond rather than react. And actually, I can create what I want. And so once I'd accepted and acknowledged and taken that radical responsibility for myself, then I was able to find ways to create that life that I wanted.
Hey friends, welcome to Right Off Track, your favorite entrepreneurial resource where we dive into the mindset, strategy, and purpose of entrepreneurs around the world who are sharing their real stories and insights with you. I believe that we all have a unique purpose in life, and that embracing our unique and special journey will help uncover that. If this helps you on your journey, I so welcome your support as we grow and improve this channel. Join us, subscribe. I promise you, I'm fully dedicated to making this work better every step of the way. So share your feedback, subscribe, share with a friend, and let's go on this adventure together right off track. Enjoy this episode.
Going off track is taking a chance on yourself.
Following your pulse of curiosity.
It's making your own decisions.
The most wonderful adventure.
Hey friends, I'm your host Anya Smith, and today's chat is all about turning negatives into your biggest wins. We're diving into a story of self-doubt, career hops, and the ultimate mindset shift that's led to a six-figure success. It's a journey from teaching to entrepreneurship, battling inner critics, and discovering the power of positive thinking. Stay tuned for real actionable insights that could be your game changer. Excited to welcome our guest, Rachel Harvey. Rachel, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited. I love these cross-world conversations. Where in the world are you, just so our audience can know?
So I'm very near London in England.
Beautiful, beautiful. I bet it's gorgeous around this time of year over there.
It's cold. It's cold and pretty rainy.
As you can see, Rachel's going to be authentic throughout this conversation. Well, hey, we are in the Seattle area, so I know something about the rain too. But besides all that, I am excited to get some cheer and some energy from your story. So can you give our audience a little bit of backstory about how you found yourself here? We mentioned there's been a lot of the self-discovery happening through this process, and why did you find that path interesting or relevant for you?
Well, I think it goes back to about 2012, really. So it's been a while, but it really started when I had my franchise business. So I had an education franchise, which I did grow to six figures. But I was struggling for a while and really not enjoying myself. And I was struggling with a lot of self-doubt and really being in victim mode, to the point where I was complaining a lot to a colleague, and eventually she said to me, "You need to stop complaining. Read this book." It's called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. And so I was like, okay. So I read the book, and it was a bit of a revelation for me. And I was like, wow, okay, yeah, I can see that, law of attraction, that all makes sense, where your energy goes and your attention flows, you get more of that coming back to you. And so, I am sitting here, I am complaining about things, I'm being very negative. And so, I need to make a change. And really, that book was kind of the beginning of everything for me. And it led me on to signing up to work with Bob Proctor in one of his 6-month masterminds. And in that mastermind, I was really awakened to the power of your mind and the fact that, the way you think about things and, the lens and the perspective through which, you view life, personal life, business is everything. And, you get more of what you think about. And so I was like, okay, I clearly need to make changes here. So that's how it came about.
I love kind of the journey you went on. And I'm curious, so a lot of people think well, hey, when I make six figures, then I'm going to be happy, right? Like here you are, I'm sure you worked really hard to get to that place. Why do you think that unsettled feeling sunk in? Because we all seem to want to have a lot of money. Why was money not the answer?
So for me, and I talk quite a lot about this now, and it's something that I didn't really know about or realize at the time, but when you place conditions on your happiness, it's a bit like when you have that picture of a donkey with a carrot on a stick that's dangled just in front of the donkey, and it just keeps moving. So
Yes.
it's like you think, okay, I'll be happy when I have this house, or I earn this much money, or I'm taking these holidays, or I've got this car, these shoes. And even when you achieve those goals, you don't even stop to appreciate it most of the time before you're on to the next thing, thinking, actually, that hasn't made me happy, so this will make me happy. And it's that constant carrot being dangled, but just always slightly moving. So it's a big lesson to learn that actually placing conditions on your happiness and expecting to find it externally is never going to be the answer. It has to come from an internal place. So you have to go inward to find your happiness. That is a huge lesson that I've learned.
Yeah, I love that. I hope everybody's listening to this and can identify. But what I struggle with is like I knew that this is not quite working, but I couldn't figure out like how do I motivate myself enough to change that? Right. So like what's like it seems like you sometimes need that big catalyst. Like, no, I'm not gonna take it anymore because it's so easy to get back to like, okay, I realize logically that it needs to be internal. And yet I get caught in like, oh, I should be doing 7 more million things. And then like once I get a little money, things will get easier. And yet coming back to like, oh no, it's still an internal thing can be really challenging. So from your perspective, like now that you started the self-discovery, how did you start unpacking this like constant addiction to external gratification and then rechannel it to an internal focus?
Yeah, so that's been a long journey and a long process, and it took me really until about a year and a half ago when I really found what the answer was for me. And that was through a process of subconscious shifting. So, what I came to realize and to learn was that actually, we've got all these programs running in our subconscious, right? And so we try a lot of surface level mindset work. And, you're busy saying affirmations in the morning, and your subconscious is like, no, this is bullshit, actually.
The
I
sprinkle
don't
on
believe,
top.
I don't believe a word of what you're saying. It's
Right.
not true. And so until you actually change your subconscious beliefs, then the other surface mindset work, it won't work for you, and not in the same way. It's much more powerful if your subconscious is on board and actually believes what you're saying to yourself. So a couple of years ago, I came across a modality that taught me how to work directly with my subconscious. And that was the transformation and the catalyst for the real permanent changes that I'd been searching for quite some time. So I had a big understanding of the different paradigms and the fact that, I needed to be supportive in my thinking, but it's easier said than done when your
Right.
subconscious just doesn't believe what you're saying. So
Yeah.
with this modality that I came across and that I now use with my clients, what we are able to do is pinpoint the root causes behind these negative limiting beliefs when they occurred, which is generally in your childhood, and actually go and work with the memory and the experience where you have like a trapped and negative emotion in order to release that emotion and reprogram new positive beliefs in place. So that was the key to really unlocking inner work that actually worked on a more permanent basis and a lot more rapid than trying to rewire your brain from saying endless affirmations day after day after day.
Right.
Or, and meditating, EFT, they're all great modalities, but they don't necessarily bring that permanent change that you're looking for, and maybe not as quickly as you'd like either. So, yeah, learning to actually do these subconscious shifts and actually really go in and heal those root limiting beliefs that's what turned it all around for me.
Yeah, I love that. And what it reminds me of is like the concept of neuroplasticity, where every time we do something, right, we build a habit, and it's like building this highways in our mind, right? Where sometimes, like a lot of us can relate to the concept, like when you're going somewhere and you don't even remember that you're on there, you just remember getting there because you're so programmed to get there. Like you're driving, you don't have to even think about it, right? Or you're going on the subway and you just don't have to think about the path because you've done it so many times. And like you mentioned, the affirmations, like when you try to, like, it's like you had a highway and you're taking a shovel and you're trying to rebuild a highway with a shovel. And thinking how long that's going to take you. Like it might do a little bit, right? But it might take you forever to reroute that. So here you're thinking about, how do I bring in more powerful tools to create change, right? That's easier and more sustainable. And can you guide us a little bit more? Like if somebody is saying, okay, that sounds interesting, and maybe I've failed at meditation, maybe like I've tried all this, but it just wasn't sustainable or didn't give me the impact I wanted. What can I do differently? I think you described it a little bit, but practically, if somebody's like, I'm curious, how do I start? What advice would you give them?
So I think, the first step is having an awareness. So quite often, clients come to me and they say, oh, I know I could be playing bigger in my business, or I've got stuck at a certain level and I don't know how to grow and expand that. And I know there's just something in the way, but they just don't know what that something is. And so the something is the limiting beliefs that you've got, that are really stopping you from taking the actions that you want to do and you need to do to have that expansion that you're looking for. So the first thing is to have that awareness. Okay, there's something in the way here. And it's to sit and maybe journal on it, meditate, just think, what is it exactly that is stopping me from doing what I want to do? If this is the goal I want to achieve, why don't I have it yet? And that why is the limiting belief that is getting in the way. So being able to actually identify that limiting belief is your first step to being able to overcome that limiting belief. Sometimes it can feel like a bigger area, like you might think, oh, okay, imposter syndrome. But that's a big area and that is not specific enough to work on. So within that imposter syndrome, there's going to be some specific symptoms of that will have the underlying limiting beliefs that you need to work on in order to clear that feeling of being an imposter or not feeling good enough and I don't know enough. I need to go and do another qualification.
Yeah.
So having an awareness, identifying the root limiting beliefs are the starting points.
I love that. Okay. If I could share one thing recently I realized for myself, like, and I mentioned that I had this really big struggle of being here and now. I was like, everybody's like, you just gotta be present. You just gotta follow your breath. And yet when I was trying to do that, I was like, well, I have 5 million things I need to do right now. So how the heck can I be present? I didn't even want to be present, honestly. I wanted to be in my head, chasing, doing whatnot. And through a little bit more of that reflection and having that presence, like awareness of like, this is not serving me, I realized that the reason I was doing that is because I wanted to feel valuable. That I felt like if I complete my big checklist, then I can be worthy, then I can be valuable. And then a lot of what I'm doing is with a sense of like, how will other people approve it, give it some kind of validation. So it was very external seeking. And I realized that that really is not serving me. That voice is like, you have to do. It wants to protect me from maybe like feeling like, oh, this is how I earn some kind of self-validation, but it really isn't serving me because it's endless. Like there's never going to be enough validation to sustain this inner thirst. There's never going to be enough, external praise that's going to be long-term sustainable energy for myself. So I had this really strong realization that this like inner voice, like do, is really not serving me to a point like I really want to be present now. Because I realized the best way I'm going to show up in this world is by being present, like even in the boring, shitty moments of life, right? Because that's how I can actually like have a higher intuition, have a higher sense of like, hey, how am I feeling? What's actually right for me? What do I actually want to do for myself? Gosh, in this moment, like what does Anya want to do? And that's been really interesting. And all of it has come from like realizing, why am I doing something? What's motivating it? And is it actually really serving me? Or are those just like fears that are guiding that action?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things for all of us is to get clarity on what we actually want. So a lot of the beliefs that we take on are not our beliefs. They're societal beliefs, they're the beliefs of your parents or the other adults that you grew up around, and socially accepted norms about how your life should go. You go to school, you go to college, university, as we say over here, you get a job, you get married, you buy a house, you have kids, and that's what society expects of you. And the thing is, we get so caught up and lost in what we think we should do that we don't even know what we really want a lot of the time. And so, gaining clarity and really thinking and feeling into actually what lights me up, what brings me joy, what do I want to do rather than what should I be doing. you know Keeping yourself happy has to be your number one job. Like they say, when you're on a plane, you put your own oxygen mask on first, right? Yeah. And because if you don't, you just end up burnt out, a bit more of an empty vessel, and then you can't give to everyone you want to, your family, your clients, friends, loved ones. It's really about, really knowing yourself, knowing what makes you happy, knowing what you want, and then going from that foundation. And I think it helps with breaking cycles within generations as well. It's like the more we understand our belief systems and how we're controlled by all of these subconscious thoughts, which 95% of our decision making is unconscious, and we have these same repeat thoughts every day, like tens of thousands of them, and mostly they're negative. So being able to change those thought patterns and change those beliefs from negative limiting ones into supportive positive beliefs, you become really aware as well of how you talk to people and how you talk to yourself. And that awareness means that you speak differently to other people. So, if I knew what I know now when my son was young, I would have spoken to him in a totally different way, because now I realize a lot of the well-meaning things I said to him will have created limiting beliefs for him. So with our awareness, we get to be those cycle breakers and have the next generation grow up without the low self-esteem issues that many of us have, which we're now trying to unpick.
So true. It reminds me of I have a habit of saying sorry too much, right? The people pleasing desire. And when my son now says sorry, I'm telling you, no, don't say sorry unless you really mean it, right? Because I realized like I was saying that and that was coming from my childhood, and I don't want him to pick that up. Like he's such a rebel. He's a 4-year-old who just draws on walls, breaks stuff, and it's easy to be frustrated at that, but at the same time the inside of me is like, I'm proud of who he is. He's such a rebel, because in the world I know like when he's growing up, that's going to be a strength of his, not a detriment. Like I have to survive it first, true. But I want to think again long term, like how am I maybe limiting him, and saying like, oh, you have to apologize, you have to do this, you have to listen, and there has to be a middle ground. Like not like he needs to be an anarchist, but at the same time, like that like spirit of his, I don't want to break that, right? So that's a very beautiful thing. And for you, you mentioned there's quite a journey. What changed for you once you start discovering this, subconscious? Like, so you were unhappy on the one end while making good money. What has led you to where you are now? Like, what was the process? And if you want to share anything that you had to overcome, like to showcase this, your own work by that example, if you want to do that.
Sure, thank you. So for me, what really changed was I realized that all the careers that I had and the businesses that I had built and then moved on from, the common denominator was me. So, through all of that, understanding that actually life's not happening to me, I have control over my life. So that was another really massive realization, because I felt for so many years that life was just happening to me, that I was a victim of circumstances, and it was all out of my control. So having that realization with that, firstly, I'm not a victim. I do have control. It's up to me how I respond rather than react. And actually, I can create what I want. So it doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight, but we all want things to happen instantly. But as we know, it's a process. But you can create the life that you want, even if it takes you a few years to reach what it is that you actually want. It is within your control. And so once I'd accepted and acknowledged and taken that radical responsibility for myself, then I was able to, find ways to create that life that I wanted. And it took me a few years to move out from the space I was in with the franchise business that I owned. For instance, it took me a couple of years to sell that and move on. But in the meantime, I was busy building up a new business to take its place. And so anything's possible when you can change your limiting beliefs. It's opening doorways, and opportunities come to you. Those opportunities were probably there the whole time, but you couldn't see them because of the lens through which you were viewing the world through. And, if you expect things to be hard as well, then they will be. So a lot of the time it's just changing your belief system changes everything. So even if you spend every day just doing a little bit of work on changing how you view the world, whether that's keeping a gratitude journal and being able to look for things to be grateful for, it really does help and make a change. So I found, for me, gratitude journaling every morning really helped me look for things to be grateful for and see the abundance that's actually all around us. It can be hard sometimes when you're feeling in lack to notice that abundance. So by keeping things like gratitude journals, and at nighttime, an evidence journal of what went right that day. So you start to look for the good things. It's like Abraham Hicks says, the better you feel, the better you feel. So the more
True.
you can look for that evidence of things that are going right, and the abundance that is all around you, like the natural world, the fact that you've got a gorgeous, cozy home to live in, that you've got water, you've got food, there's so much abundance around us that we kind of forget about. And just having that reminder, all of that I found really, really helpful for helping me to see that I am able to create the life that I want, and it doesn't just have to happen to me.
Absolutely. That's so powerful, because oftentimes we have this like negativity bias also. And I see people like they're not quite comfortable, but they'd rather not expose themselves to something a little bit challenging to be uncomfortable for a much longer time. Versus people who are like, you know what, I'm not quite where I want to be, and I'm going to push to that discomfort because I know that's going to be worthwhile. Meaning like rewiring your subconscious, like working through that, reflecting, and be like, hey, this is worthwhile. If it's going to take me longer, like having that patience is going to lead you to a much better life, versus if it's instantly not working, then I'm not going to bother, but I'm going to be so much unhappier for much longer because I'm not creating any path towards something better. So it's interesting the trade-offs that we create for ourselves. And I'm curious, so now say people will start working for you and now they have a little bit of awareness, they've done the exercise where they write in like, hey, why am I not getting to that goal? What do they do from that point on? Like anything you want to share, exercises, thoughts on how do people now work maybe immediately or longer term on their subconscious?
Yeah. So when my clients work with me, I work with them in one of two ways. So when I support people on a one-to-one basis, I facilitate their subconscious shifting. So we'll have a session and we will pinpoint a root limiting belief, and we will go in and heal that. So that's quite a rapid transformation. And when I work with groups, I actually teach my groups how to use this method for themselves, so they actually learn the process of going in and working with their subconscious to make those shifts. So that's really exciting. Thank you. and really, it just makes you limitless, because every time there's a trigger, you get upset by something, that negative voice pops up in your head and says, who do you think you are wanting to do that? You know that you can go and use this very specific technique to turn those beliefs around. For other people that don't have access to this methodology, one of the really good ways of starting to make that sort of rewiring process happen is to use visualization. And everyone can do that. And if you spend 10 minutes a day really going into, what it is that you want to bring in for yourself with intention, and it's all about really feeling those feelings like you've already got what it is that you want, whether that's something, business or personal life or a relationship that you want. So really going in with intention and feeling those feelings like it's already happened. And that will start the rewiring process. It's a slower process than when we go directly to the subconscious to change beliefs, but it will work over time. And every day you do it, you'll get closer and closer to creating that vision from the inner to the outer. I like to call it manifest action. So there can be a bit of a misconception that manifesting is just about sitting there and thinking of something for long enough and it will turn up. But you actually do have to take the action. So the thing with changing your beliefs is, instead of thinking you can't do it, you're like, yes, I can do this. 100% I can effing do this. And I'm going to go and do it. So yeah, manifest action. It's about, creating that belief system and thought patterns that are like your inner cheerleader. So it's like, it's you with pom-poms going, yeah, you can do this. Go and do it now. You're fabulous. You're worth it. A lot of our beliefs are kind of based on that root belief of not feeling good enough and not feeling worthy. So being able to reprogram those really, really important beliefs, can have a cascading effect as well on, other more surface beliefs that you kind of use as excuses not to do things.
Absolutely. And one thing that I was thinking about is how it's like we underestimate how powerful our minds are. Like, to your point, right? We can be thinking like, oh, well, this is woo, like, how is this going to help me, right? But if you even your brain doesn't differentiate like the reality versus something that's not real, right? If we think about it long enough, our brain takes it as it's real, and it's quite astonishing, right? So if you're just thinking after you're listening, think about your favorite meal, in the most details possible. What does that smell like? What does that look like? And you'll notice your mouth starts to salivate, right? Because it doesn't differentiate it quite like you think it would. And so with this practice in mind, right, if you're going through your limiting beliefs and you're breaking it down, your mind again doesn't differentiate. It's this is real, right? If I visualize it well enough, I'm gonna make myself feel like this is who I am, right? So then the energy that you bring to life, you choose to vibrate a certain energy, and that will attract other energy. I really find it so fascinating. And one thing one of my coaches said a little bit ago is that the energy that you bring to something when you're doing it is the energy you're going to have. And I was like, oh, that is not good for me right now, because I'm hustling, I'm burning myself out to get to a goal. If that means that when I get there, it's going to be in the same state, that's not good. And that's what really made me shift my mind. I'm curious. I know you mentioned you have your own process. Can you share a little bit what that process of changing subconscious looks like? If not, that's okay. And if not, could you maybe just even guide us what changes has that had for somebody else? An example, if it just is a proxy.
Yeah. So the process, it's a combination of quite a few different modalities that we use. So there's positive psychology, and there's NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. We use a little bit of EFT, emotional freedom technique, some inner child work. So we also use kinesiology as well. So what we're doing is asking questions of your subconscious, and your subconscious answers more quickly than your conscious mind. So we use something called a sway test to get some yes and no answers that enable us to pinpoint exactly when the experience that trapped a negative emotion and caused this memory. So we're able to go directly and have a conversation with that version of you, if you like. So it's almost like a third-party conversation with you when you were 5, and healing that experience in that moment, and then recoding in positive beliefs in place. And it's quite simple, but really, really effective. And it's quite rapid as well, because it's all healed and reprogrammed within that one session. So that's why it's really exciting. It's a little bit different to hypnosis, but along those lines of working with the subconscious. So for clients that have worked with me, there's a lot of fairly common beliefs that quite a lot of people have when they come to me. So, working around feeling good enough, feeling deserving, and having the confidence to say raise prices when people are in business for themselves, that's quite a big one. And really being able to feel worthy of the transformation that they bring to other people, in order to be able to attract the particular clients that they want to work with, and really stepping into a CEO mindset as well of, this is my business. I know I help people, I have impact, and it's just really being able to step into that with confidence and just 100%, I am absolutely fantastic and fabulous at what I do. I am the expert. It's really just embedding those beliefs that will give them that complete confidence to step up and step forward to build the businesses that they want to. Quite often when clients come to me, they're feeling quite stuck because they're really letting the negative voice get in the way of them having this CEO confidence, if you like, to really build and expand that business that they've been dreaming of.
100%. What's interesting is that I think sometimes people underestimate how much your mental state affects your business performance. Like, okay, it comes out to your CRM, right? Or your email pitch or whatever it is. Like, those are all things that are probably important to some degree. But what's in here in your head is going to drive everything you can accomplish and how far you're going to go, right? Even if you have the best product, best strategy, best service in the world, and internally you have a lot of doubt and strife and like just lack of desire to keep going, lots of questioning, like you're gonna fail a lot faster, right? Unless something internally is going to get figured out. So I love like how we prioritize this, because again, I want everybody to hear that what's going to stop you primarily is going to be what's inside. Even if your business fails, I've seen so many entrepreneurs who keep going. They're like, okay, it failed, I'm going to keep going, because they had the internal endurance, so like the external things can be controlled if your internal state is there, but not the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, when we first get into business, we go and think, right, okay, I need a business coach, or I need to do a business course because I need to learn strategy and, all of the ins and outs of running a business. And what we don't realize is that without that I can do it mindset, you're only going to get so far before those doubts kick in, and you're not going to implement all of those strategies that you learn. So really, the first thing we should be working on is our belief systems and our mindsets. But it's not until we get stuck that we realize that that's actually what we need to work on. And it's quite fascinating because you come across some really big creators and CEOs, and that's the one thing they always say: I wish I'd worked on my mindset first, because I got to a certain point and I got really stuck, or I was working with so many clients trying to pay the bills and not charging them enough that I was just run off my feet, burnt out, didn't have time to try and build my business, but did not have the belief in myself to actually raise my prices and, follow through on the strategies that they'd learned. Because, most of us will have lots of strategy that we can implement. We know all the things that we need to be doing, we're just not doing them. So yeah.
So true, so true. And I think that also what's important about this is that you become more attuned to your own needs, right? Not just for business, but when you are in business and you're attuned to your needs, then you figure out like what actually is right for me, right? Because as you know, with business, there's a million different options how you go about everything from like your logo to email strategies, social media, and that's overwhelming. And you can, if you don't have an internal compass, you're going to be swayed around, right? Like by a gust, you're just like doof, 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 doof. You have no sense like what's actually right for myself for this business. But when you create the compass, it's like you growing your roots, right? Your roots become thicker. You have a strong stance. So if the winds sway, you're gonna, fluctuate, but you're not gonna sway as much, right? You're gonna be flexible. It's like, no, this is what's right for me. This is what's right for my business. This is what's right for me in charging the prices, because I know I'm gonna be exhausted if I charge this rate and so many people come, but it's not rewarding. So I love that like, this internal compass gets created, and it's really going to be that root foundation for your business to where you function better, and it's going to be better for you internally as well. And I'm curious, do you have maybe an example or two of a client that you've gone through this process, like the transformation that's happened through it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had one of the clients that was in my programs this last year. She'd had some sort of family issues, really, and they'd really got the better of her confidence. And she's like a beautiful healer, therapist, and she just wasn't working with any clients because she'd started to really doubt herself. And so by identifying, all of the root limiting beliefs that had come up from the issues with her family, she then went on to, she put herself back out there. She started doing these beautiful women's circles and, offering her healing services again. And she went and bought a caravan, we call them in the UK. I don't know, your equivalent might be like an RV kind of thing with
Gotcha,
her
gotcha.
sister.
Yeah.
And it was something that she'd always wanted. But
Huh.
before, her money mindset wouldn't have let her buy it.
Right.
She would have been busy holding on to her money and not wanting to let it go. But with all the work done around her confidence and money mindset, her and her sister, they bought this caravan and they're off going on holidays. And yeah, she built her clients back up. She created these lovely in-person women's circles. And, it was all stuff that she just wasn't doing anymore. So it was a complete turnaround for her.
Oh, I'm so happy for her. That sounds beautiful, like that transformation. And one thing that people may not realize, like that money part, like, so what work have you done around money? Like why, or what transformations have been important? Because people think like, oh, okay, I'm just doing things internally, but that doesn't necessarily, they don't see that that's connected, like their mindset around money could also be really limiting them. Can you touch on that point?
Yeah, absolutely. Most of our money beliefs we have taken on from the adults in our life and again from society in general. So, one of the big ones is that I have to work hard for money. And, there was a time when that was probably true, many decades ago, last century. And especially after, things like world wars, when, people did have to work hard to rebuild and there wasn't a lot of resources around. And so, but those beliefs, they get handed down and money doesn't grow on trees. And, there's just some, definite common beliefs that we take on. And so that's why often we're putting in all of the hours and thinking, I've got to do more, I've got to do more, I've got to do more, because in order to earn this money, I have to work hard. So, reprogramming that actually, it gets to be easy, it gets to be joyful. I get to do what lights me up. And that way, it's like you said before, about trying to be present and enjoying the journey rather than just focusing on, that end point and placing that condition on your happiness of when I earn this much money. But yeah, I'm really, really tuning in and understanding, what lights you up.
Absolutely.
That's
I
what
agree. I
makes
think,
you magnetic and attractive. And
yeah, I agree. I think, and what helps me on this journey is also seeing like other examples of others, right? You see other people who have made something happen where they've grown, their financial standing while enjoying the process, right? And it's not like just like one person or like it's many people. And yet then you see people who are like millionaires, have a lot of money, and yet they feel like that's never enough. What's the difference there? It's really their mindset, right? So people like, no matter how much money they have, they feel like it's not enough. They can't spend on themselves. Versus there's people who are like, hey, I trust that there's an abundance, right? I trust that I can make money in an easy way, in a way that supports me. And each one is right. Each one makes it right for them because like that's what they're going to see and reconfirm through their action, because the mindset is the root of it and they keep reaffirming it. So to me, it brings me back like, hey, even right now when I'm starting something new, I still should have that balance of, like not excessive spending or excessive, conservation, but there should be a balance where I still can enjoy and trust that there is an abundance and like still spend on things that matter to me. Because if you just hold up the money, you're also kind of limiting yourself. You get in their mindset becomes very limiting. Like there's scarcity, there's fear. You're then driving your actions through the lens of like what's fear supported and motivated versus like what's best for me. So like everything is correlated. If you feel like you want to make more money and your motivation is very fear-based, that's going to hinder you. So it's a very interesting transformation for me. Like that, the things that I was driving me were actually limiting me, and reevaluating them made me think like, how do I actually want to show up and live? And that's actually going to serve me better. But it's a very tricky, like you said, process, because our old kind of motivations, the things that we're taught, are often not serving us the best way.
Yeah, absolutely. And, energy, it is a very subconscious thing, isn't it? Like people's energy draws you to them or repels you away.
Yeah.
And so that energy which you approach things, whether, like you say, whether it's scarcity and lack, and people really pick up on that.
Yeah.
So the energy that you approach things with is really important. And I have little things that I do to change my energy state really quickly. Like I like to call it kitchen dancing. So I just put on a track that's really uplifting and dance around my kitchen, and immediately you can feel your energy change.
Right.
Or I have a quick 5-minute meditation in the quantum, so I can let go of anything that's not serving me right at that moment. It can be things like just lighting a candle and just getting your crystals out if you're like me and you have a love of crystals. I've got them all over the place.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
I've got mine on my desk.
We're showing our crystals, just so if anybody wants to look at YouTube, you can see our crystals. Beautiful.
Yes. So yeah, anything that has a quick change of state is really helpful. But I think it's important to recognize as well that there's no good or bad emotions. They're just emotions of different frequencies and vibrations. And, we're here for the whole human experience, and that's to have all of the range of emotions. But being able to move more quickly through the lower frequency emotions by being able to change states, such as, having a quick dance or a sing, whatever helps you, is important for you to discover. Like, what are those little methods and techniques that you can use when you're having a bit of an energy dip? It could just even be to sit down and read for half an hour, anything that really serves you.
Right. What I learned is that what's important is also to slow down. Like we're like, oh my gosh, I need to go faster, faster, faster. But slowing down gives you that space. Like, hey, how am I feeling right now? Like, what is my energy looking like? Have I just been like go, 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 and my energy is like that? That's the state that I'm at, or can I slow down? Like, hey, like breathe in, like feel that presence, feel like more of that, like just power coming into your body. Like that takes space. And so I'm learning that the best way to actually get farther ahead is to slow down versus thinking that like faster I go, the more I grind, that's actually going to serve me. It's not, because if you keep doing it, you're not going to have the time and the space and awareness to realize like, hey, how am I feeling? What's best for me right now? How can I show up in the world? That all takes space and reflection capacity that you can't have if you're just grinding effortlessly and going as fast as possible. So if you're hearing this and feeling like, hey, I'm not where I want to be, how much time are you creating for yourself for reflection and the space to kind of like connect with yourself and see where you're at throughout the day? I think that's been a big change for me. And Rachel, you've been so generous with your time. I want to wrap up with anything you want to add, but also like, what are you excited for 2024 now that we're wrapping up the year?
Oh my goodness. Well, just before we move in, I would like to add that those periods of stillness that you mentioned, that's a total gift and the wisdom. So, when you do get in those lower frequencies, when you ask yourself why, that's when you get to heal and expand. So they're a gift. It might not feel like it at the time, but they're a gift. And once you've asked the why, then you
Yeah.
can use the techniques to move through it. But for 2024, I'm really excited for a new start, new year. It always feels really exciting, doesn't it, when you move into January, and you've got your big plans for the year. So I'm going to be launching my group program again in January and taking on some more one-to-one clients, which is exciting. And I'm also considering a podcast of my own as well.
Ooh, I'm excited. I'll be rooting for you.
Thank you. And I'd love to get you on as my guest.
I'm there, and I'll help you any way I can. Anything I can share, I'm here, sincerely.
That's amazing. Thank you. And it's just, I feel like this has been a big year of growth to me because I had this pivot into coaching this time last year. So I'm really excited to be able to expand in 2024. So it's the year of, I want to call it the year of fun and growth.
Ooh, I love that. Fun is so important on the growth path. Like if you're not, so many people that I interview, the entrepreneurs who are doing they're like, are you having fun? Like, what? That's a question we ask. It's so important. Like people at the highest level are like, am I enjoying this? And that's helping them perform at their best. So if you're not enjoying it, that's maybe a sign that some reflection needs to happen as well.
Yeah. And you're not quite following what lights you up.
Yes, 100%. Okay. And also, who is your ideal customer? Like ideal client? Who are you excited to work with? Or like who could be getting the most out of your program?
So I love to help ambitious women who are maybe just feeling a little bit stuck in their business and they need to help to transform the limiting beliefs that are getting in their way. So I help with clarity on what is it that they actually want, not what other people say they should want, what should they want. Then we have a look at, why they haven't got that yet. And then we work on turning around those beliefs and really stepping into that CEO mindset to grow that business that they absolutely dream of.
I love that. That's inspiring because we need more strong women taking over the world. There's no lack of need for that. So if you're in that space, if you're like, hey, I feel like I'm capable of so much more, but something is stopping me, please reach out to Rachel. I'll share all the information and details on how to connect with her soon. And 2024, let's make it a fun year for you where you're accomplishing everything that truly aligns to your personal needs and desires. Okay, Rachel, here at Right Off Track, we wrap up with 3 rapid fire questions. So when you're ready, let me know.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Okay. What's your favorite kitchen song to dance to?
Oh, that's a good question. I've been on a real 80s vibe lately and Club Tropicana, Wham.
Yes. Love it. Okay. What's a common misconception people have about mindset coaching?
Okay, so I think people don't understand that it's actually your belief system that you need to work on rather than surface level mindset work, which has only a temporary relief rather than really reprogramming and using that neuroplasticity to build new neural pathways that are supporting you.
Beautiful. Okay, last but not least, in the positive sense, going off track is
following what lights you up. Even if that takes you on a path that you weren't expecting, follow what lights you up, because that's where your alignment lies.
100%. Beautiful. Well, to all of our listeners, I hope you found some inspiration on here, some reflection points like, hey, are you having fun? Are you having the space for reflection? Or are you doing things that you should be doing or that others want you to do? Or is it something that's truly aligned to you? And if there's some kind of hesitation around that, reflect on that. Like Rachel said, have a gratitude practice, right? To give you the openness to think about things that are abundant and going well in your life. Journal to ask yourself, what do I want and why am I not here? And also, if you want a little extra help, reach out to Rachel. She's a great resource on this, has so much wisdom to share and so much passion for this. So Rachel, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, let's take over the world together, right off track. Until next time, everyone. Thank you, Rachel.